back to some more opinions and shit about gym etiquette.
So Brian, myself, and Brandon, who's not here on camera with us, we all work out together. We go to EOS or EOS Fitness here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And we go probably about 3 to 4 times a week. Since we go so often, we kind of have this thing about gym etiquette. What do you do at the gym that's maybe good in terms of cleanliness, in terms of respect towards others and how you interact with others, and then the shit that you see that just makes you mad or makes you want to just apply to be a manager at the gym just so you can fucking tell people like how they should do it. So we're going to dive into a couple of these things and etiquette that we find at the gym, and then in the end we'll bring it as a discussion up to you guys and see what you guys think about gym etiquette. Want to start it off?
First thing, racking the weights. Really now, this is something that is, it's just really courteous. You know, like when you start an exercise, there's no weight on the freaking thing. So you can put whatever weights you need to on the bar or whatever tool you're using, right? When you leave your weights there, that means that other people who are going onto this thing have to remove your mess and then put on their own loads. So they're getting a little bit more tired than they should be. You know, it's just really easy. You know, you're putting on the weights anyway. Just go ahead and take them off. Put them where they go too. Don't just leave them out in the middle of the floor. Don't you put them in some place where they don't belong. Put them on their designated racks, on their hooks. You know, put them where people can deal with them effectively.
This is another thing we see at the gym a lot, is wiping down your space. So sometimes you get to benches and they're just covered in sweat. Grease. It could be from grease. It could be from people's hair gel, from their sweat and their shirts and their heads and this. Like, you wouldn't want to see blood places, so why would you want to see sweat in places?
Yeah.
I think they have more than enough towels around the gym. They also, a lot of gyms do require that you bring your own towels, which really isn't enforced, but it should. And they also have cleaning materials for you to clean down your work area. Similar to Brian, I have to do the work for you in order to make the place look how it did before you got there.
Right.
I'm not your butler. I'm not the busboy who's here to clean up after your mess so other people can go to it. I'm here following you. And sometimes we'll get onto a bench that someone just used and they just walk away. And you can tell they're sweating. And it just kind of collects everyone's bacteria and dirt and all that stuff.
Yep.
Find different ways to make your place just as clean as how you got it.
And this is something that Brandon and I get on Joe about sometimes because he's one of those people that sweats a lot when he works out. I'm a
sweaty boy.
He sure is. So he'll leave like a big back mark on the chest fly machine or something. You know what I mean? He'll leave a little bit of head sweat when we're doing the bench press. And so we're like, hey man, go get some of those paper towels, you know, and there's little spray balls right next to the paper towels so you can, you know, have a little bit of cleaner, you know what I mean? Because we don't want to be covered in Joe's sweat, let alone anyone else's sweat. So clean up your sweat.
Is making loud noises or grunting when you're on a machine. We get it. It's heavy weight. If it's that heavy to the point where you got to make audible noises that we can hear across the gym, you might be ego lifting and you might be lifting too much than what you can handle. So sometimes it makes a little more sense to drop that weight, be less loud, and you could get more in. I get it. Sometimes you're going for max attempts and whatnot, but just remember that you're in a public or a private gym with other people who, sure, most of them have earphones on, most of them are on their phones and not paying attention. But for me, I don't. So if I'm next to you and you're making noise, I kind of lose focus.
You'll see people putting just like excess amount of weights on the leg press machine, right? And it's like, oh, they're pushing these things, and you hear the clinking, clanking, clank, clank, and it's like what are you doing? Can you lift less weights? Because you actually can't do that. You're using your hands to try to help your legs push the weight up.
This one has to deal with people who are on their cell phones, sitting at a machine, and not moving. So sometimes I'll see people and I'm waiting for a machine. I try not to bug anyone because it's not my job to tell someone to get off a machine. I don't know what set you're on. I don't know what rep you're on. I don't know what your schedule is for the rest of the day. So if you're done with something, don't sit there excessively on your cell phone. There's so many opportunities to be in your phone when you're walking around or you're in the locker room. I personally try to put my phone away so I'm not distracted. But if you have to be on your phone, if you're setting your Spotify playlist or anything, do that in between different exercises. Try not to take up time because there's only a certain amount of machines on there. If you and someone else are sitting there on their phones, you're not allowing anyone to be on there. And to me, it bugs me to death when you see someone sitting and sitting and sitting on their phone and then they just get up and leave and walk away. And it's like, you couldn't do that when you were walking. You couldn't do that at the next place you're going to. So
ask if you're going to take some weights. Don't just come by the rack or wherever someone's working out and steal some weights.
Yeah, a lot of times if you're on a bench press rack or you're on a squat rack or even like something in middle like a power rack for deadlifts or squats, there's a lot of times where people just come up as we're working out, and we have a variety of plates because we're working with very intricate weight, and they just take it off. Granted, we don't own the gym equipment and we don't own the weights, but at the time when we step onto a platform or to a rack, we're probably going to be using a lot of weights, especially if you could see that we already have a bunch of weights on our bar. So it just annoys the hell out of me when people, like today we had an example where Brandon was spotting and some guy walked right in front of him as he's ready to spot to grab 5-pounders off our rack, and Brandon had to tell him to his face, like, yeah, we're using that. And the guy looked at it, he was surprised.
Yeah, like,
it's like, you surprised that we're using weights? Like,
yeah, bro. Why don't you go somewhere else and like perhaps even ask if someone's using these weights, hey, are you using these 5 pounds? And it's like, oh no, go right ahead. You know, it's that easy, literally. So my last one would be claiming a spot. One of the most annoying things is when you see someone's gear, they're like, oh, did someone just forget this? Like, what the hell is going on? You go on the machine and then they come back from across the room. Hey, I was using this. Like, no, you weren't. You were over there doing some other exercise on a different machine. Like, if you're going to use the machine or the area, use that area. Don't just put your stuff there and say, this is my spot, I'll be back. No one knows. No one cares either because they have stuff to do.
And that's leaving your fucking trash at the last place you worked out. You're drinking a water bottle. You're eating a little snack or something like that. Why would you leave your trash on the floor? You know, are you a slob? Are you a filthy animal? No? Then prove it. There's trash cans all over the place. I get sometimes you forget, but you know what? You need to go back there and pick up your shit because there's so many times where we're working out and we have to pick up other people's garbage. I get it. I'm not paid to clean up the place, but I like to take honor in my workout area. I want to make sure, like I said earlier, it's the condition that I leave it at is the same I picked it up.
Yeah.
So by you leaving your trash there means that you basically kind of dishonoring the something in the gym, and you shouldn't. You know, we're all paying to have this space and equipment opportunity. So
there's some things that, yeah, it's an accident. So you leave your weight clips there, and people have come back, you know, oh, hey, did I leave something here? And it's like, okay, cool, that's a legit, like, you just forgot. But then we've seen other things, like people leave their Band-Aids and stuff by the gym. Like, dude, I don't want to touch that. I don't want to touch your gum. What are you doing? Get rid of that. There's trash cans all over the place.
So I guess the main overall theming concept I'd say about gym etiquette is check yourself before you wreck yourself. You basically don't want to show people you're a slob, and the easiest way to do that is making a mental checklist as you're going along, making sure if you have trash, if you've taken stuff that's away from where it was before, just return it back. It's the same if you were to go to a library, if you were to go to, I don't know, a room, like a classroom, if you were to go to someone else's place, you wouldn't want to leave it worse than how you left it.
Right.
So gym, please, if you're working out at any gym, anywhere in this world, just make sure to look at your surroundings and leave it just the same way you found it.
Amen.